Hello dancers, Chantal here. I've really been wanting to make a little video about how I approach making a choreography. I'm currently working on a drum solo choreography, which I would say is on the slightly more difficult side compared to, let's say, a pop song or a traditional piece, because those types of songs tend to have maybe a little intro, then a verse, chorus, maybe a little break in the middle, and then another verse and a chorus, and then a fade out or an ending. Something a little more intuitive, whereas a drum solo can be chaotic, all over the place, not a lot of repetition, changing types of instrumentation. So either way, whether it's a drum solo, which is more difficult, or a pop song, which is more intuitive, I hope that these tips are helpful. So let's get started with what I do first. So I'm pretty particular about the songs that I use for something like a choreography. When it comes to gigs at like a hookah bar or even wedding gigs, I'm not as particular with that. It's more about what's right for the setting, and maybe not what's right for like my dancer heart and soul. So it's a different type of choosing and how to get the playlist going for those types of gigs. When I choose to do choreography, it tends to be either more personal or something that really makes me excited or happy. So in the case right now, I'm doing a drum solo because I've been really enjoying this one darbuka player a lot, and his drum solo tracks are really fun for me. And so I thought I should just tackle one and really try and get one honed in instead of just improvising to them all the time. All of that being said, that means that I do put in a good amount of time listening to music, um, listening to a song all the way through, because sometimes a song will seem good or exciting at the beginning, and then you realize, like, for a choreography, this kind of rambles on, or it kind of peters out, something like that, where you'd think it might not have impact on stage or in a performance setting. I would say a good recommendation for this, if you're someone who doesn't mind listening to music while exercising, or if you like it, I will take a little time to make like a liked list or a possibility list, a playlist, and then while I'm working out, I'll just play it, and I sort of let my mind relax into it because I'll be sort of focused on the exercises that I'm doing, but also hearing it in a way where I'm not just standing there trying to dance to it. So it's a nice way to keep the mind open while hearing the tracks. Um, I do that at the gym a lot, especially during my warm up, because I am kind of moving a little more. I have a little room to play. Um, Not necessarily like start doing a choreography, but play in my head. So that's one thing that I do, and then also I listen to a lot of music just while doing chores, like cleaning the house, washing dishes, just in general my life as a mother, cleaning up after everything here. So yeah, just try and take the time to make a list maybe, and then let it play, and you'll start hearing the songs where you're like, oh, I want to hear that again, and ooh, I'm starting to have ideas about it. um, like, oh, I almost want to stop what I'm doing and start dancing to it. I have this idea. So that's a good way to sort of filter out the ones that you think would have good performance impact. So once you have chosen a song and you're like, this is the one I want to work on right now, it's really exciting. I feel like I can really express myself to it, or, oh, it's going to be really impressive. Maybe it's for a competition, something like that. Then give it a couple listens and either like map out almost with a graph, or you can write it out in a really basic layout way how the song is. Like, is there a taksim intro or a moody intro that then builds up, or does it start high energy and then ground in later? Stuff like this, just to sort of map out what you're going to be tackling. This would also be a good time to not maybe 100% decide, but at least get a couple of ideas, because it will sort of change the rest of the dance. If you're starting off stage or on stage, if you are on stage, are you starting with your back to the audience or facing the audience? Are you going to be using a prop? Is it wrapped around you like a veil, or is it in front of you? stuff like this. If you're using a sword or something like that, is it placed on the stage, or where is the stuff that you're working with? That's good to know kind of near the beginning of what you're doing, because at least for me, I like to build up from the top of the song and work my way through. So if you are using a prop, or if you're starting off stage, that has to factor in before you get to the next steps of the song, of the choreography. So like I said, I am doing a drum solo choreography right now. And because it's so lively and changes a lot, what I chose to do for this one, I'll just show you, is I wrote out the whole song, not necessarily actually writing the specific rhythm that they're doing every time. Sometimes I did and sometimes I didn't. Sometimes it was really just what types of hits they're doing, whether it's a doom, a tech. So you can see I wrote it out here because those first hits for me with this song are very specific. And when I start writing out the movements, I wanted it to correspond with each section. So I kind of did like this. You don't necessarily have to do it that in depth for every type of song. Like I said, this is a drum solo, so it's more complex and changes a lot. Whereas a different one, you could write, intro, tuck-seam, and then on your choreography page, you could have it line up with it space-wise. But it might not have to be every single beat that's happening. It could just be like tuck-seam intro, and then you write out the moves here. So this one's very specific. This was really helpful for me though with this song because it's so specific. And I'm doing a lot of hit movements. So for instance, it starts doom, 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 katek, katek, katek. And I'm going doom, doom, doom. And then shimmies, katek, katek, katek. And then doom, 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 katek, katek, doing the shimmies. And then slides, doom, doom, doom. More shimmies, katek, katek, katek. And then I wrote rolling, like that. So another thing is you will probably build some of your own dance language that's maybe really specific to you. Rolling might mean something a little different to a different dancer than me, but to me that's what it sounded like when it goes like that. So that's what I wrote. It is a good opportunity to learn some of your basic rhythms if you're using a traditional song, because then it's just a nice way to practice, writing that's the section that's happening right then. But if it's not a traditional song, that wouldn't totally apply. Maybe you should just know, if it's a 4/4 moment, if you're dancing a waltz, this type of thing, because that will impact how you're taking your steps. Not all of it is literally writing every beat type, but I will put how many counts there are of it. So I try to write sort of each line as 8 counts, even when it goes into light rick section or triple roll section. Now, it did build up so much to the point where I just got into a quick section. I wrote 24 counts, and then a daft section, which is a certain type of drum, 16 counts, because during those, it's kind of like a mood. And what helps me when I do that is that I know that's a good section to do something like a step turn, something that's a little less on the nose of every single beat, which is a nice opportunity during a drum solo to not just be in place and just bah, 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 hitting every single thing with isolations. So I liked those sections for doing something bigger, like step turns, a little box step, a couple of sort of folkloric feeling side steps, stuff like that. And that was helpful for me. And sometimes I'll use symbols like up and down. And to me, like here, I wrote quick 8s, 3 times roll through, repeat with an up and down. And usually for me, that means that that would be a good moment for a level change. Like it builds up and then builds down, if that makes sense. And then I just got to the end where there's 9 hard hits going down. I said descending because it goes da 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 da. Yeah. Da, 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 da. And to me, descending, it matters that it's a descending feel. So some of the words are like literal, the beats. Some of them are sort of qualitative, like descending. Some of them are creative, like rolling, and some of them are helpful just in the sense of how many counts I'm working with. So that's, I know that's kind of a lot because it is a drum solo. I've done a lot of other choreographies that are to more just regular songs, like traditional songs for rock sharky. And I would say it's a lot easier than what I'm doing here because you have repetition, you have sections that are kind of the same, so you can feel it out, not necessarily the same exact moves or repeating the same moves, but it's familiar in the body and in the movements. The process of actually writing out the movements can take a while. I started this a couple of weeks ago, maybe even a month ago, and I got through the first page and then I stopped because it takes a lot of work. I mean, every single section here, I had to listen, get up, try something, try it again, maybe change something, pause it, redo it, pause it, try it, redo it, you know, so it's like each little section took a while. I'm not doing it all in my head. I do have to stand up and try stuff out and make sure I'm ending in the right position for the next thing. And that's why I go progressively down the song. I may have ideas for a later part, but when it comes to writing it out, I don't skip ahead to that. I just go in linear order because where you end up, let's say here I did 2 interior hip circles to turn to the 45-degree right and then reverse roll up into a pose, that means that the next thing I do, I'm in that pose. So you can't just end up wherever and then do the next section from somewhere else. So that's why I build it in a linear way. This next page I just started doing yesterday. This is sort of the second minute. It almost felt like about a minute per page with this, with the way I was writing. And this was a really difficult section because it is all over the place. Here you can see each line is 8 counts, which means this one had 4, this one had 4, this one had 4, this one had 4, this one had 2, this one had 2, this one had 2, this one had 3, and this one had 4. So it's not always the same amount of 8 counts either within a little phrase. This one, 3 counts of 8, 3 counts of 8, 3 counts of 8, 2 counts of 8, 4 counts of 8. So you can see how this is different from a regular song, because it's not all even sections. Yeah. So I also took the pressure off myself by writing draft 1 on this. And to me, that means, because I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, that I wouldn't get angry with myself if I had moments where I scratched stuff out, which I know may sound silly, but if you're at all slightly type A, like I can be about some things, just writing draft 1 really helped me take the pressure off. Just knowing that if I needed to, I could tweak and change little things and not have this be, carved in stone. All right, let's pretend this is done, or you're finished with your choreography. What's the next thing to do? I would say practicing with a mirror as much as you can, and then once it feels like you've pretty much got it, do maybe each day like twice to the mirror, twice away from the mirror, just to see the difference. If you have a studio space, that's especially great because that means you've also got room. If you're working out of your house, I know that can be hard. Just try and find an angle where you're not looking at whatever mirror you have. I actually currently don't have a mirror in my house to practice with, so I did all of this without a mirror. Because the only larger mirror I have is just above my dresser, and that's in a very tiny office room. So I did this all in the living room with no mirror, but if you have one, use it. It's very useful. And then if you start feeling like, a lot of choreographies, we're not just facing straight. So if you are starting to feel like looking in the mirror is impeding the angle of your head and face because you're just looking that way, try, if you're not comfortable doing it away from the mirror technically, but you want to look away, try setting up a camera with a tripod and film it and take a look after, and you can sort of make notes about like, oh, maybe I should try and work this side of the stage more, or just noticing things like if you're staying too much in one place, or maybe noticing things about your body, your posture. Sometimes we'll have some tension in our neck. I used to have that a lot where I'd kind of go like this, like looking down, which just meant in videos and pictures I had a double chin a lot of the time. Or maybe there's tension in your hands. Maybe you'll notice there's a moment where you could do more with your arms, like an arm layer. So videoing can be really helpful. And then practicing away from the mirror once you're comfortable is just important, because most likely you won't be performing with a mirror right in front of you. I actually did once, not totally right in front of me, but at the Howling Wolf in New Orleans. I performed at a show there, and like a little festival, and the bar was straight across from us, and they had a mirror behind the bar, and it was super distracting because I could every once in a while see my feet. And I was like, stop looking there, look somewhere else. Now, once that's all good, once you feel comfortable doing it without the mirror, now would be probably be a good time to figure out what costume you're going to be wearing, and then practice it in the costume also as much as you can. Costumes can be finicky little things, and there may be moments you didn't think, oh, if I'm wearing pantaloons, for instance, and I do a level change, is there potential that I might, I don't know, put a knee on one side of my pantaloons and then feel kind of stuck when I'm getting up? A lot of stuff like that. People are doing a lot of headdresses these days. Definitely pin the heck out of it if you're doing any type of like lean backs or back bends, because they'll just right off. All those little things. Do not wait until the day of the performance to practice in your costume. You don't want to feel silly up there when people are like, why didn't they think of that, before performing? Why didn't they think that skirt flies up if it's not pinned down, or that they step on it, or have they ever danced in shoes? So if you're going to be wearing shoes, practice in shoes. If you're going to be wearing a long skirt, practice in that long skirt. All of those little details make a huge difference when it actually comes to performing this choreography that you probably put days, weeks, or even months into, if you think about all the time it took to listen to a bunch of different music, map it out, actually write out a choreography, practice the choreography. That's a lot of time. I hope that all of this is helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to share this side of dance, not just because it's helpful for you, but also just to let out into the world that a lot of this takes a lot more work than people see. This song that I'm doing right now is less than 3 minutes long, and I'm on month 2 of working on it, because it's such a complex song that I had to step away for a little bit, come back at it fresh. It all takes time. This is an art. I hope you enjoy, and I'll dance with you soon.